What is Beastie up to? The ultimate question, a hard to answer one, but one we're going to find out. One and all, welcome back to the deciding game in the playoffs to see who's going to go through to the grand finals of the $3,000 2v2 tournament. We've got Beastie Cutie whipping out a weird and unexpected choice here. Order of the Dragon. Puppy Paw, meanwhile, will be supporting on the Malians. And then we've got the Middle Eastern strat. Louis MT in the blue on the Abbasids, Dumu on the Ayubids. I'm curious about this one because we don't get to see Order of the Dragon much, especially on maps like this. We're on Prairie, a very open, a very exposed map. Now, Ayyubid's Abbasids has had some very interesting dynamics we've been seeing recently, actually. I think Ayyubids and Abbasids, like, you can kind of interchange them between the greedy and the aggro roles here. Sometimes you see Abbasid players TC booming. Sometimes the Ayyubids will support that with aggro. This feels like a fast castle strat. Abbasids will probably support with some military aggression. Abbasids is also pretty cool against Order of the Dragon, because if Order of the Dragon does play Feudal Age, you can scale Camel Archers over time, and Camel Archers are a really good counter unit against these cheesy strategies like Mass Gilded Men-at-Arms. Beastie played Order of the Dragon more? Okay. I can kind of see the merit of it. Like, if you think about it this way, right? Order of the Dragon, one of the big weaknesses is like when you're playing a very rotund draft. And what I mean by that is in a game, when you're playing a rotund, as in well-rounded retinue of units. So you're having to build archers, spearmen, knights, so on and so forth, siege. Order of the Dragon feel weaker because their transitions take longer and are more expensive to start getting online, right? So it feels very difficult, I want to say, for like Order of the Dragon to just supplement all the unit types. Especially when some of them are just not better, right? It doesn't feel like it. Like, if you think about having two Abbasid Spears or having one Gilded Spearman, I feel like I'd want two Abbasid Spearmen, right? And if you think about like having two H3 Men-at-Arms or having like one Order of the Dragon Men-at-Arms, I mean, it depends if you got the Heavy Maces being impactful, but still, you see this kind of effect, right? But when you're in a team game, we've seen you're able to play these more one-dimensional comps, where Puppy Paw maybe is only going to build Dontos. And then Beastie might only build Landsnecht, right? And, you know, you could have Puppy Paw supplement the weaknesses of that strategy. Maybe he goes then into Mass Archers, and you just provide the melee ball. So I think there is some merit behind Order of the Dragon in team games. Because Order of the Dragon thrive off of Gilded Knights, Gilded Landsnecht, and Gilded Crossbows. And if you're able to commit to just one of those unit types because your teammate supports the other element, you have a better chance of success than I'd say in one-on-ones. Oh, what's up, Anatand? Yeah, send me the details, mate. I'd love to cast your games. You guys doing a show match, or are you just like having some custom games? Absolutely would love to. We'll do this one first, but absolutely afterwards. And Louis, well, that kind of surprises me. With limited wood on the map, he's going Eco Wing. That's greedy. And it is going to be Growth Wing. So yeah, Dumu's going to play H2. I like this element, by the way. I think Desert Raiders are really effective against what Beastie's likely to do here, because if Beastie wants to play H2, he's going to be building into Men-at-Arms, Spearmen, whatever. You can kite him. Desert Raiders do suck up against the Malians, but you're at least going to be able to force a reaction to jabs. And I think that's where things like Desert Raiders have a higher value point, by the way, is in team games, you can keep pivoting between players, right? In a 1v1, if you're playing against Malians, you don't want to build Desert Raiders, because you know they're just going to immediately react with javelins, and you're going to feel bad about life. But in a 2v2, you have double the value point. It's another reason why French also feels pretty good, right? Because one player might shut you down with spears, but then you pivot to the other player. And if both players shut you down with spears, that means they've overreacted to your play. Fell Crescent immediately on the way. Stone Gathering has already been done. Lou MT. First TC, where's he going to be dropping this? Do you like set up a forward base maybe on the Buries the Deer? This is like a high value location, but it's very close to the enemy. The alternatives is like maybe towards Dimu's base or the Deer at the back. I honestly don't see a great TC location here. One thing that is interesting for Louis is because he's spending so... Yeah, it's going to be condensed then. So because he's spending so little wood on farms, this issue of running out of food and having to play riskier locations doesn't exist as highly for him. So maybe the goal for Louis is to just kind of get farms down and then bolster up meat shield type units. You've got Raxes already being added in, so Spearmen are going to be on the way. Beastie, he's just fast castling. That means that you can't mass Fulani though, right? We've seen this before, like double greed very rarely works out. Yes, Louis is being greedy with the 2TC, but he's being efficiently greedy, right? If you're talking about any Civ that can get away with 2TCing without it feeling too much, it's Abbasids, right? Fresh foodstuffs, Fertile Crescent, it makes everything very affordable while still being present with aggro. Meanwhile, Dimir's base. Ooh, he's actually going mass horseman. This is cool then. So he's going to ride across north side and just try to ruin Puppy Paw's day. Desert Raider already being a little bit annoying for that as well. Beastie's probably going straight into Gilded Knights. The map's too big to do anything but Knights here. I love the fact he went on to Deer, by the way. So underrated, so effective when you're playing as the Order of the Dragon because your villagers are a lot more tanky to the point they can even fight back quite well. And this Warrior Scout defense doesn't work very well against Desert Raider. Remember, you don't get bonus damage. Like, this is the intriguing part about Desert Raider. I said Javelin's a good reaction, but if you're not going Javelins, you're in trouble. Because Warrior Scouts don't get bonus against ranged until age 3. So Beastie, you say you didn't get any sheep. He's sitting on 15 sheep. Would you like to try again? Maybe he got them on a delay, but he's fine on sheep. Dumu has 21 sheep. Puppy Paw still has 16. Louis the sad boy right now with 6 sheep. So this is kind of interesting, right? It's like Javelins now being built is not a good sign. You need archers. Because if you build Javelins, funny little detail, Mass Spearmen counters Javelins quite well. It sounds weird to say, but it's just a quick, efficient unit to body with, right? And the whole idea is that if you get enough spears together, you can even dive the Malian TC. Sofa's getting added is peculiar, though. Considering there's already spears here, and you already are up against a camel, Puppy Paw going Sofas is a little bit surprising. Even more when you consider it added in, too. Horseman getting a freebie here. Dumu. Great little 1-2. It's intriguing because they're letting Beastie have what he wants, but completely punishing Puppy Paw for it. We talked about this in previous series, right? This idea, this ideology that when one player's being greedy, you can punish his teammate who's not. And the value is that if you do that, there isn't an army to then protect the greedy player, right? Because you've removed the player that's meant to be the stepladder. So after you've done enough damage, you can then just bring 2 armies over to the Castle Age player. And then that offsets the age advantage, right? Because Castle's strong, some of the units that come out are strong, but if you're being wailed on by an army over twice the size, the age difference usually feels irrelevant. Horseman now arriving. Kind of probably wishes he went there sooner now that he sees that he was out in the Deer. But this is going to condense him. I mean, Beastie played this right. While he could be on the map, he was on the map. And now he has those 18 sheep at home to bolster him up. But he's doing what we talked about. He's going to be the Gilded Knight. And the problem with Gilded Knights, they're slow to produce. You're also up against Mass Spearmen. I feel like this was a really good read by Louis and Dumu in that both of their opponents went for Cav. And it gave a lot of incentive into this spear-based army. Camel archers as well. Just Camel plus Desert, right? Like, they have all the means to debuff these Cav armies, basically. Remember behind this, Louis, of course, has that very efficient transition. 48 wood each per farm. Sorry, 49. Oh, God, that's not the start you want. Beastie does at least have the Prelate Pump coming, right? So if he can get 4 or 5 relics, I think he's pretty cozy here. And also, on top of that, we have 2 ranches complete. So Puppy Paw, the pressure started to relieve. He's got a second pit mine up. He can start to scale. I think the liability as this game goes on was meant to be Dimu, but he's fixing that. Advancement wing is on the way. Tricky that he wasn't able to get the logistics wing, but you just don't have the time now that Beastie was allowed Castle Age. Because if you go logistics wing, by the time you get it, there's probably going to be like 3, 4 relics already picked up. This is feeling like a sad round, though. I don't think this breaks Beastie at all. I think he's fine. Louis' Spearmen are kind of threatening, but not threatening enough. It's kind of awkward because unless you've got enough Spearmen to wrap around and pinch a Gilded Knight, a good player can always just micro them away. How long do Order Dragon Knights take to train? 42 seconds. It's so long. 35 is the standard timing. And you have to think about it this way. Like, it doesn't sound like very long compared to normal Knights, right? But that's not the bigger issue. The bigger issue is you have to first save up 480 resources, and then you have to commit 480 resources for 42 seconds. Compared to 240 resources being committed for 35 seconds. So that's usually why Order of the Dragon tends to underperform. It's like, transitions are not easy. They require you to stockpile a lot of resources and then wait a long time to get it back. I feel like Order of the Dragon needs some sort of tweak here. Probably to production rates. Maybe it's going to make them too strong, but quite often they feel really awkward because the moment your opponent forces you to a new unit type, and anyone who's played Dragon knows what I'm talking about, what I was about to say, you always feel too late. Especially against high-level players, because high-level players will do like a 1-2 step, right? So maybe we start on spears, and then we go archers and the horsemen. And by that point, you as the Order of the Dragon player have to have read ahead of the transition, or you're behind. Spear on defense is about to get bolstered. Relic is being pulled across now. Wallow's going to come out. That is going to reset them here. The Ram kept getting pushed back, actually. So even now, still hasn't got a single shot in. That sprint replacement being buffed, it means the Rams can even start getting sniped. So in the meantime, Puppy Paw gets his Castle Age for free. No more pressure on him. I mean, Dumu is aged up, right? We've got Camelots coming out. And Puppy Paw has still been adding in sofas. It is still Mass Gilded Knights from Beastie. But I'm becoming a little bit unconvinced of the Middle East strategy and the damage of style. Like, the opening felt really good. I felt like they'd done really good damage to Puppy Paw. But then when they tried to pivot over to Beastie, it's almost like things unraveled. They didn't get any real damage done, right? And now we find ourselves here. Louis is at least going to be able to tech up. I think he can recover this game with Camel Riders. If he plays Camel Riders, which he's already got 2 coming from Military Wing, you can disintegrate the Gilded Knights. Camel Riders are much better at killing other Knights than Camel Lancers. Speaking of which, Camel Lancers. Ooh, oh, what a grab! What a sick grab there. Can't quite get the second Knight. Had they done that, that would be 1,000 resources down the drain. And you start to see another tricky element of playing Order of the Dragon, is you just don't have that many units. So if your enemy has double the units, realistically, if they get favorable pinches, or like see a favorable pinch, it's easier to execute. Right? And to kill the whole army value. Whereas, imagine that was 4 French Knights. 4 French Knights, maybe one of them gets pinched, and the other 3 just get away. Right? So it's kind of this idea of diversifying your cost investment gives a lot of extra value points. For a start, it's harder to lose the entire army at once. For another thing, it allows you to be more locations at once. Meanwhile, when you look at Beastie, he's pretty much on 1 location at a time. Love that he went for the Inspired Warrior Tech, by the way. Insanely effective on such high base damage units, right? You got 36 damage on your normal strike. You're now up to 41. Louis, he's going hard into Camel Archers now. How intriguing. I mean, it's just as good against Sofas as it is against Gilded Knights, right? Sofas, which, by the way, still do not have imported armors. Meanwhile, Lancer Dive coming in. Beastie now under extreme punishment here. Villagers aren't being shuffled away. Finally reacts to it, but Beastie losing a lot of these eco units. Oh my god, what a read. Ludumu, he understood, right? There's no true defense at home right now because the Gilded Knights are diving into his base as well. It's a base trade. Who's going to lose out more here, though? Arguably, it should be Dumu, right? Like, Beastie has the extra outpost. Also, he has the extra garrison efficiency because he has less villages to worry about losing. However, the Gilded Knight cost could be big if they go down. Camels now trying to snipe out the heavily injured here. We have got the Riders arriving. And the Camel Lancers are joining in. So Beastie will try to run this one away. This is where the game gets quite peculiar, though, because there is a tech that Louis has that could ruin everything Beastie's trying to do. It's this right here. Camel handling would break him. Because with camel handling, you wouldn't just be chasing, you'd be gap closing at all times. Which also complements Dimmu really well because these camel lancers move at maximum movement speed when they charge. I think Beastie needs a switch. The only reason I could imagine he's sticking Gilded Knights is because he's hoping that Puppy Paw is going to be coming across soon. Because I think like Gilded Knights over time now just loses to this comp, right? But if your opponent's just going to keep spamming Camel Archers, that's where Javelins are the MVP. The Musafadi detail is peculiar though. Instead of Donzos, I'm a little bit surprised. I think Puppy Paw was expecting Louis to go into archers because Abbasid archers are so good in the Age 3 due to composite bows. It's kind of weird, right? It doesn't mean that Puppy Paw is completely screwed because the Javelins are still a good contester, but the Musafadi to me is just a big question mark. I guess, actually no, I know what it is. Puppy Paw, it's the ambush factor. Remember, you're playing on Prairie. It's a very open map, a very exposed map, very hard to wall map. So you just stealth these guys, you run in and you find the pocket ecos. That's kind of cool, actually. Pretty ballsy when it means that, you know, you're not going to have much of a defensive line. These camels. Camel archers should lose to javelins. You do have to target them. And oh no, please move them out of the formation, Louis. That almost stung. Remember, when you formation like that, because they're range units, camels always go to the back, and then they move at this movement speed, not cavalry movement speed. Wallah? How did Dimmu get this? He also got himself a warrior scout. How many relics was that in the end for Beastie? He got 3. Ooh, so Dimmu, did he take many away? No, only 2. Wait, so who's got the rest? Oh, sorry, no, Beastie got 5. Okay, yeah, no, Beastie's kosher. He's coasting. 5 relic gaming is exactly where you want to be with Order of the Dragon. It's going to enable him to get pretty hard to go to crossbows, and he's also going for the mass healing strat. 16 prelates already. Keep in mind, Louis has offset some of this economy because he went 2 TC. And now we've got on delay 3 TC out of Dimmu. Malians are only playing 1 TC, but the Fulani is bolstering them up. So eco-wise, these two sides are a lot closer than they appear. I'd say Beastie and Puppy Paw will have a slight edge in economy, actually. Flash coming in. Mango is here as well. Good warp to the backside. No reaction yet. Beastie is now here to assist, but this is a lot of camel archers and a lot of spears. Lance is now showing up as well. Prellate's trying to assist, but maybe a little bit too late here. I mean, Puppy Paw, he's got to have a second wave coming, right? But the first strike is beautiful here. Louis MT able to just rout Puppy Paw's forces. What a strike there, man. The boot camp, the phalanx effect, the camel arch is just so impactful in this engagement. And the mass prelates are kind of deceptive, right? Like, Beastie's army isn't as big as you'd think. 20 of this military pop is just a healer. Not a good front line with only 90 HP as well. Camel Arch is now sniping them down. And the Gilded Knights unable to hang around against the spears. That was smart micro. Louis understands that if those heals come out with focused fire, this front line lasts too long. Forces them away, and this game is slipping away from Beastie and Puppy Paw fast. That Mango threat is still not addressed. It means the Javelins cannot counter the Camel Archers, and the Camel Archer count is getting out of control here. These guys hit for 16 damage each. Over 50% penetration against Gilded Knights, and the Mango here, an absolute penetration against Javelins. Sick micro as well. Good body blockers. The Gilded Knights not able to get in. They're approaching the heart of the Malian economy here. Another wallop from the Mangonels. And this is breaking point. Beastie is not able to assist. He has nothing to contribute. His crossbows, his men-at-arms are too slow to arrive. They've identified the weak point, and the weak point is mobility. something that camel archers are king in. I mean, Dumu's army got completely evaporated there, down to just 4 camels. It doesn't matter, though. Louis is carrying the torch and carrying them across the finish line here. Puppy Paul loses it all. Mango is going to be able to park here, which means the ranch is going to be targeted next. The Gilded Knights will go to a men-at-arms route, have at least arrived. But here's the problem. The crossbows are ineffective against mass camel archers, as are the men-at-arms, remember. You just get kited and killed. Sick execution. Mass camel archers, guys. I swear, this unit is still being slept on, even when we see it used here. So many situations where if you find your opponents are not punishing enough, if you're able to scale the numbers up, this unit can be ludicrous. And we talked about that 42-second wait time. It's 35 seconds base for camel archers. But when you consider how slow Order of the Dragon build their army, you're justified in doing exactly this. That means a 2-1 storyline. Dumu and Louis able to win out. I believe Dumu made it through to the grand finals. I think BC performed well enough as well. I can't remember who the other two were, but insane tournament, man. Sick games all around. Love the fact that, you know, although this game looked dominant in the end, there were moments, there were worrying signs where the Malians might have broken out, but Louis put a firm and quick stop to that.